Hi everyone, if you watched my last video, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My last video, I discussed starting over at 30 and I mentioned that I left law school. So after that video, I kind of just wanted to make a breakdown and kind of explain what kind of made me decide to leave law school. Although I knew law school was going to be difficult, um, I didn't anticipate that it was gonna be so difficult. So, a little bit of background is ever since I graduated high school, I have been working towards a career in the legal field. So, I had been planning to go to law school and hopefully someday become an attorney. After I finally got closer, finally got accepted to law school, I realized that that really wasn't for me anymore. It wasn't an easy decision, and it wasn't just one thing. It was a culmination of things that made me decide that law school was no longer something that I wanted to pursue. Living alone. So, living alone was something that I did not consider to be a problem when attending law school. I thought it was going to be a plus because I thought I was going to have no distractions. But actually, I didn't consider the logistics um, that kind of go into maintaining a household by yourself. And what I mean with this is kind of like, cooking. Like, I used to cook. I always cook my meals and I don't like to buy food. So that was a big change in school because I had no time to cook. So I had to buy a lot of packaged meals and processed meals and just heat in the microwave meals. And that was something I wasn't used to. Um, and if I forgot to buy groceries, I wouldn't have groceries, and it was just a problem. So I had no time to go shopping for that. I had no time to clean, which to me, um, I need to have a really clean place in order to function. So if my apartment is not clean, then I can't study because it just stresses me out. It feels gross and disgusting, and it's always in my head, and it just will distract me even more. And that was kind of something that happened because so much time that I was trying to study, and I just felt like I was in this space that was so gross and dusty, and it just wasn't a good thing for me. The other one would be my health. So I struggle with anxiety and depression, and I've struggled with it for like a really long time. So it's nothing new, but I have learned ways to cope with it. And some of those ways are kind of working out, eating healthy, and getting enough sleep. And those three things combined kind of help in a way and help you make like feel better, and it reduces my anxiety. But when you're in law school, you have no time, and I had no time to work out. I had no time to eat healthy, and I had no time to sleep because I stayed up late reading all night trying to catch up. And for me, that was a big problem, especially because I have back issues, and I don't know, just like not working out kind of just ends up kind of hurting you in a way. Like I've had knee things. I mean, I'm also almost like now at that point I was almost 30, so I don't know if that's what it was, but it just it was a thing. It was definitely a big physical thing that I was like, I don't have time to focus on my body, which feels like it's deteriorating if I'm just sitting down studying 24/7. And that ended up being like kind of like a big problem. Another reason was family and relationships. My family and my partner at the time were living around, I would say maybe like around 2 hours away from where I live. And because I was so busy, I was barely able to spend any time with them, and I barely had any time to talk to them over the phone. So that just made it even kind of more isolating for me because I couldn't study at school because I would get distracted, and I had to study at home, and then I'd study at home alone, but then there was nobody at home. So I was constantly by myself, and being so stressed and overwhelmed with everything, it was not a good mix. I also ended up missing so many reunions and celebrations, um, like birthdays and things. And there was definitely one birthday that I really regret not going to. Um, but that was the time, and law school was really kind of like, you have to decide and you have to prioritize, and I do regret that one. Another reason was burnout. So I had been working for several years at a nonprofit and I loved it, but it was really stressful. And I I was burnt out. Um, I didn't take into account how mentally exhausted I was, and I actually decided to give myself 3 months after working before law school, just to take a break and do nothing. But unfortunately, that was not enough. And I, I regret not taking kind of like a year off. I think I should have taken maybe like a year off after work and just like focused on some easy job here and there. And I think that's what I should have done. But yeah, I think that was one of my big mistakes in that regard. So, number 5, being diagnosed with ADHD. How do I start this? I have always struggled in school, and I have always tried really hard to do well. And law school was no different. And I really was struggling. And I quickly kind of noticed that I was behind my peers when it came to some class assignments, and I wasn't sure why. I did end up getting diagnosed with ADHD, and basically it was a bittersweet feeling because on one hand, I had an answer and I had an explanation to just at this point, like decades of struggle and I guess confusion and just like not understanding and always feeling like no one understood me. The more I kind of looked into ADHD and realized obviously that maybe the reason why I did good in some classes before and others maybe not so much was because I was interested in them, because I was studying something that I was really passionate about. And in reality, I think the purpose of going to law school was to have a positive impact on society because it would allow me to kind of help people in a way. And I think that there's a variety of ways that everybody can help people. And I think right now I'm just trying to figure that out and trying to find, I guess, like a purpose and use all this knowledge that I feel like I've gained and hopefully it just doesn't go to waste. But also kind of enjoy life because again, like I don't know if I mentioned it, but you don't know how long you'll be here. And I think right now what's important to me is not so much the sacrifice for a career, but more of being present and being there for the people you care about and really try to make memories. And because at the end, that's kind of all that's left. And I honestly think that's kind of like, well, that's all that matters. Overall, the reason why I left law school was a culmination of everything. It was my health, physical and mental. It was my family and my relationship. It was like being burnt out. It was, I guess, the ADHD diagnosis was just kind of the cherry on top that pushed me over the edge because I realized that this was going to be way much harder, more of a sacrifice that I had initially planned. And I just was not ready to give any more sacrifices and more of my attention and my time to this career because I actually was not interested anymore. I really don't know how to end this video that much because I feel like it was kind of more like a maybe a little bit more deep or serious than I had planned. But please let me know if you enjoyed it. Please let me know if this was helpful for in any way. And again, what I kind of plan to do is just kind of share my experiences and kind of see if it's helpful to anybody. And in a way, just kind of create a community because it's kind of hard out here and lonely sometimes. So if you watched this far, thank you so much. I always appreciate any likes, any comments. I love to hear from you. Last video I heard from a couple of you and I really appreciated it. So don't be afraid to drop a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you all have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.